Okay, welcome back to another episode of Gambling with Greg. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to play video poker. Okay, now, video poker is a little different game. It's a one-player game. You're not playing against a dealer like in blackjack. It's simply you playing against the odds, trying to make the best possible hand you can. Okay, now here's the way video poker works. You start with a hand of 5 cards, and initially you have one chance to be able to trash some of those cards and then get more replacements. So let's say you have this hand. This hand, by the way, has nothing, and we'll go over what all the hands are in just a minute. You might say, okay, I'm going to trash everything except the 9. So I'm going to keep 1 card, and then I'll grab 4 new cards from the deck, and the 4 new cards in the deck come in. Okay, now what you have is what's called a 3 of a kind. You have 3 9s, and that's a pretty good hand. And the better your hand is, the more you're going to get paid out. If you don't have any hand at all with anything special going on, you don't make any money, you would lose your money in this situation. Okay, so let's talk about the various hands. So let's say you have this hand. This hand, for example, has a pair of 9s, right? We have 1 pair, so that's 1 pair. If you had this would be 3 of a kind. You had 3 different 9s. If you were lucky enough to somehow have all 4 9s, that would be a 4 of a kind, which would get you due for a massive payout. Okay, some of the other hands that you might have is, you might have, for instance, let's say, this one. This would be called a 2 pair. So see how this hand has a pair of 5s and a pair of 9s. So that gives you a slightly higher payout than having just 1 pair. You might have something called a full house. A full house is when you have a 2 of a kind and a 3 of a kind in the same hand. So say you get your 5 and they all look like that. So that's an example of a full house. Some of the other common hands, you might have something called a straight. Well, a straight is when you have 5 cards in a row and the suit doesn't matter. So say you have this hand here. Let's say you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice how the 5 cards are in order. Now the order of it just goes in order all the way from 2 up to ace. We're going to consider ace as high. This is the order, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, king, ace. So any subset of 5 of these in a row like that counts as a straight. Anything like this counts as a straight. Right? So anytime you have 5 cards in a row, that is a straight. Now another wonderful thing you could do is get what's called a flush. So if you have 5 cards that are the same suit, no matter what value they are, that is a flush. So in this case, I have 5 clubs, or 5 hearts, or 5 spades. That would all be an example of a flush. Now, the best possible hand you could get if you were a total freak is you could get a straight flush, which is a straight that is also flush. So say that would be the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of clubs. So if you're Mr. Ishimoto, this is something that happens to you pretty regularly. If you're the rest of us, you will never see this in your life. But that's what it looks like. So if you have a straight and a flush, don't expect that in your program probably. Okay, so those are the hands you can get. And in the directions to this, you'll see that the better your hand is, the better the payout becomes. Right, so just let's go ahead and play a couple hands here and we can see. Now, the player has the choice, basically, of what they want to discard, right? You start with 5 cards, but then you have the choice of how many you'd like to replace. And you can replace anywhere from 0 to 5. If, say, all 5 of your hands are already a straight or a flush, of course, then there's no reason at all to try and replace any. But let's say you have, for example, here's your opening hand. And in this case, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now this hand is pretty bad. Like maybe you could keep the 5, 6, 7, try for the straight. The higher percentage play is probably just to keep the king, discard the other 4, and then let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when I see this hand, I have a pair of kings. It's not like blackjack. A jack is totally different from a king. So we have a pair of kings, so I would get the payout for a king. Okay, let's look at another couple examples. All right, say we have this hand. Well, this hand we start with a pair of 4s, right? That's pretty strong. Now let's start with the 2 4s, and let's get rid of those. Now I'm going to replace those with 3 cards. Oh, I got another 4. Terrific. So this hand is a 3 of a kind. One tip I'll give you when you're making your program, put the hand in order from least to greatest. That's going to make it so much easier for you to figure out what each hand actually has. Okay, so let's say you have these. This is a bad hand, but let's say you're a total idiot. You said, hey, I don't want to win. I want to lose my money. I'm going to get rid of the 9. So I'm going to throw away the 9, and I'll get 1 replacement card. However you put away, you replace, and there you go. Now, I want to notice one thing. The replacement, this hand has nothing, by the way, right? I have no pairs, no straights, no flushes, so this hand would just lose my money. But one thing about the trading is it all happens at once and you only get to trade one time. So if I look at this and I say, okay, I'm going to discard these 3, I basically get traded all 3 at once. I don't get to see one and then make a decision, see one and then make a decision. I had to say, okay, I want to replace all 3 of these at one time. And then I get my 3 new cards and then I'm done. So I only get 1 trade. I got the 3 new replacements. Now I have a pair of kings and that's all. Okay, so that's how video poker works. Hope that helped bring some questions, and thanks so much for watching.